So it was hard for me to understand why they couldn't comply because that's not where I came from. Like, if my parents said to do something, you did it. You didn't ask
Wow.
why, you didn't talk back. You just did it, or you took the initiative to do what needed to be done without being asked.
Behind every smile is a story of pain, strength, and resilience. The Blueprint Podcast is where those stories are told, where we heal, evolve, and reclaim what's ours. And whether you're a woman finding her voice or a man ready to listen and grow, this space is for you. Together, we rise back into her. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blueprint. I'm Yanique, and I'm your host, your sister, and your friend. And today I'm joined by a woman whose story is powerful and deeply rooted in resilience. My guest, Ingrid Garofola, is an Army veteran with over 20 years of service, a wife, a dog mom, a bonus mom, and a woman who believes in Christ. After dedicating so much of her life to serving others, she began her own journey, one towards mental freedom, healing, and rediscovering herself beyond the uniform. Today, we'll be talking about childhood trauma, her time in the military, and the moment she realized true healing had to begin, plus how she continues to help others on their journey to confidence, boundary, and self love. So, welcome, Ingrid.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You described your journey as a race to mental freedom,
Yes.
and that's such a powerful phrase. So let's start from the beginning. Can you take us back to your childhood? What was life like for you growing up?
Well, I would say looking back, I've noticed that there were some things that could have been different in my childhood. But
Mhm.
going through my childhood, I felt like it was great.
Yeah.
I grew up in a two-parent household. And then, later on in life, my parents, they ended up getting divorced and my mother remarried. But overall, my mom did whatever she had to do to take care of her children. My father was still there. He took care of us as well.
Okay.
And my siblings, I have two siblings sisters, excuse me, two
Mhm.
sisters and a brother that I grew up with, and we grew up in the church.
Mm.
We grew up in a Caribbean household. My family is mostly from the Virgin Islands,
Okay.
and I just remember life being good up until a certain point in life that I didn't realize was not that great until I was in my adulthood and on my healing journey.
Oh, wow. And that's so powerful. I tell people all the time that I didn't realize I was growing up poor, because that's what we were used to and that's the survival that we're living. So sometimes when we're in the situation, we don't really necessarily realize what's happening. So that's very powerful. And I guess we'll get into it a little bit more. But do
Yes,
you think some of your early experiences shaped the kind of woman and soldier you became?
most definitely. Yes,
Mm.
yes, I
Oh,
do. And I think that some of the things that I learned or that was taught as a child and a young teenager helped me to develop into the soldier that I became
mm,
earlier on. Because when I first joined the military, some people didn't have basic discipline, lack of respect. They
mm.
didn't know how to wash their clothes, make their bed. And I was like, oh, this is easy for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
mama didn't play those kind of games. So I feel it had its good and it also had its negatives in my career.
Yes. What do you think? What was it that drew you to the military?
We're gonna get right into it. So I I was actually working at Taco Bell. I used to call myself the taco queen whenever I
Mhm.
was in high school. I believe I created the Frito burrito, okay?
Mm.
So I was there and my mom wanted me to go to college. She was like, you're going to graduate, you're going to go to college. And I was like, I'm not ready to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to chill and work at Taco Bell for a little bit. Let me figure out life. And she was like, no. So, she took me to do the entrance exam at the community college. And I intentionally failed because I did not want to go to college at the time. But she kept pressing me, like, you're going to have to do something, something, something. And my older sister was in nursing school. So a recruiter had walked in to eat that day, and they
Mhm.
were just talking to me, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna join the military."
Yeah.
And at the time, I was 17, so I told my mom, and she was like, "You're not going, and you can't go. You're only 17. You're not graduated yet." I was due to graduate,
Mhm.
um, but I ended up joining the Army Reserves first. She went ahead and agreed because they told me I can go to training and come back home.
Mm.
So that's what I did, and as soon as I turned 18, I joined. To be honest, at the time when I joined, I had no clue why. I
Yeah.
just didn't wanna go to college, and I'm like, they made it seem so great. You know, you can get your own car, have your own room,
Mhm.
have your own money, and blah, 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 and I bought that dream,
Yes.
but later
Wow.
on, I realized that the military actually saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, wow, a lot to unpack there. So she
yeah,
didn't want to go to college, guys.
no,
She's like, what is my other option? I can go and work and make my own money. Okay, well, I rather that option. So
yeah,
you ended up joining the military and you served over 20 years. Is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Wow. And I'm sure that takes incredible discipline.
it
You spoke about
does.
discipline earlier, and your parents instilled that in you from a young age. But I imagine it also comes with some emotional weight as well. So,
Yes.
what was one of the toughest moments you experienced during your time in the military?
The first thing that comes to mind is going through that gas chamber when you're in
Mm,
basic training.
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, they trying to kill me." I didn't know what was going on. Like, I'm like, "What did I sign up for?" And just being away from home
Hmm.
was new to me. I hadn't been away from home for that long.
Yeah.
And I think just being around people that I realized had no structure was kind of hard for me because like our drill sergeants would tell us what to do and people would cry and complain about it and I would just laugh and just do it.
Hmm.
So it was hard for me to understand why they couldn't comply because that's not where I came from. Like if my parents said to do something, you did it. You didn't ask
Wow.
why, you didn't talk back. You just did it or you took the initiative to do what needed to be done without being asked. So I
Yeah.
feel like basic training and my advanced individual training was easy,
Yeah.
but I would never forget that gas chamber. That was one of the hardest moments for
Yes.
me.
I can imagine. Was any of your parents in the military or anything?
Nope.
No.
No.
Wow. What do you think made them the way they were? The discipline, everything that comes with growing up and you not wanting to answer back or just do exactly what was told. What was it about your parents that you feared ultimately?
I think it was just this respect that we were taught.
Mhm.
You know, both of my parents had careers, they had jobs, you
Okay.
know, and it was 4 of us, well, 3 at the time, and then my younger sister was born, so 4 of us, and they just didn't play those games,
Yeah.
like and I think also where they came from, the culture.
Mhm.
You know, my
Mhm.
father's from St. Vincent, my mom's from St. Croix,
Yeah.
so it was just this is the way that it is, and you don't talk back, and you just comply. So I think that's what it was, and I think in the moment of growing up, sometimes I'm like, "Man, they strict and wow, I can't wait
Mhm.
to leave." But when I did leave, I was like, I'm grateful for
Yeah.
that upbringing because it taught me that it is necessary. It's a necessary skill to have to be able to listen sometimes and not respond or constantly ask why.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You
good and
mentioned
bads.
yeah, there's a good and bad, but mostly good from what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. You mentioned that being away from family, there was some emotional strain there. Did you ever feel like you had to switch off certain emotions just to survive or fit in that environment?
Often, even at home. Even as a child or as a teenager, I've had to switch off my emotions a lot. You know, growing up, we used to get spankings. I am just keep it real. So, you know,
Mhm.
sometimes you sitting there crying and they like, stop crying. And I'm like,
You didn't get anything to cry for.
you know, and I'm like, but yeah, going through the military, even during training or at my duty station when your senior leaders tell you certain stuff, you can't be all over emotional. They'll check you on it real quick. So you have to know how to check yourself and you know, bottle up that emotion and talk about it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the thick of it or you have a mission to do, that's what you need to be focused on because your emotions is what will cause issues for
Mm.
you depending on what type of environment that you're in. So cutting off my emotions and my feelings often was very necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talks about women in the army, especially beautiful women like yourself.
Well, thank you.
Were there any trauma that happened during that time as it relates to you as a woman being in the army?
Yeah, I can say that. My first duty station was at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and I was stationed at an engineering unit, predominantly male
Mhm.
and white male on top of that. So I've constantly heard, this is a white man's army. Black people don't belong here, let alone a woman. You don't have what it takes. Go back home. I have been, I guess I would say
Wow.
hazed a lot, but honestly, I would say during that time, I didn't really understand what was going on,
Yeah.
but it did make me want to be better.
Yes.
So in the unit that I was in, we would go on 10-mile runs once a week. And when I first got there, I could barely make it. I would get yelled at and all of this stuff, racial slurs and everything. But it made me practice. So on the
Yeah.
weekend, I would go running, and I became a good physically fit
Mm.
soldier. I became strong in my regulations. I became strong in my job. So where no one can come to me and say anything,
Yes.
you know? So, and I mean, and throughout my career, different situations and scenarios like that has happened, but I had to take ownership of what I can do. I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah.
What can I do to be better and to show up differently and maybe change their viewpoint of what they think of a woman or a Black woman at
Yeah.
that? I can say I dealt with most of my trauma from other Black women, which is really sad.
About that. Let's talk about that.
Um, I mean, because you said I'm a beautiful person, so thank you for that. So it
You're
was
pretty
usually,
privileged.
yeah, it was usually like, oh, well, you got to where you're at because of what you look
Mm.
like. Or, oh, you got to where you at because you must have, laid down with somebody, or whatever the case may be. It's never you got to where you're at because you studied hard, because you
Wow.
worked hard, because you came in early, you stayed late, or because you truly care about what you're doing. Um, it's the setup,
Yeah.
I'm gonna help you get to where you need to go. Just follow me, and you're leading me down the wrong path,
Yes. Wow.
and
This is
so
what
yeah,
Sweetie speak on as well, a lot of the music industry, of course. Um, her music isn't all that.
yeah,
But at the same time, she spoke about how people treat her. People talk about pretty privilege, but they
yeah,
don't talk about the other end of it where you get judged a lot or women throw stones a lot. And I guess that would be what you experienced
yeah.
amongst Black
And
women.
a lot of times people would see me in ways that I don't even see myself, or hold me to a certain standard
Hmm.
that I didn't even hold myself to,
Yeah.
And, I've heard someone tell me before, well, you think you a Black Barbie. And I'm like, well, I never thought that about myself. So, you're treating me that way. But, it is what it is. And, whether I wear makeup or not, I feel like I am a beautiful person. I
Yeah.
just am. So, what you see on the outside was definitely not what I was dealing with on the inside. And that really hurt a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to go through that, and you
Thank
probably
you.
still experience it at some point, because there are people out there who are bitter, who
Yeah.
have issues, and they come out and they project that onto people. It's almost like they don't want you to carry yourself good. They're not supposed to feel like you look better than them, and that's a them thing.
Yeah.
It's not a you thing, and we shouldn't carry those burdens. So I'm glad you're mentally strong to shut out some of those noise as well. But at what point did you start to realize that something deeper, something emotional or spiritual needed healing?
I was long and retired, honey.
Mm,
I did not realize this until I retired in 2021.
okay.
And I did not realize that I needed to go on this healing journey this
Mhm.
deep until 2023.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I needed, like, take it serious, okay? So, a couple months after I retired, I was really struggling. Like, what do
Mm.
I do now? I wasn't working. I didn't have, like, a plan of the day, right?
Yeah.
So, I was like, "Okay, well, who is Ingrid?
Mhm.
I know who the soldier is. I know what I'm supposed to do, but where's the guidelines
Yeah.
and the regulations to tell me how to be a civilian? Like, where is it
Yeah.
at?" It just wasn't there. So, even though they give us like transition training and all of that, it does not prepare you. Nothing's going to prepare you from serving all of your, young adulthood and adult life, really, to now you're just out and you're just a normal civilian.
Mhm.
So I struggled a lot. I started to read books. I started to pray more, meditate on my word, talk to God, talk to people. I even went back to therapy because throughout the military, I was in and out of therapy. Um, but I went back to therapy. And I think in 2023, I attended a Woman Evolved conference that
Okay.
Sarah Jakes Roberts hosts.
Yes.
And I got it clear as day. I heard my
Mm.
message clear as day that, you need to seek therapy and you need to take it seriously. Like, this is life and death, and you need to do it now. And
Yes.
that is when the shift changed for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of women and men too are going through that very thing that you just described. What advice would you give to them when they're choosing to retire and they're becoming a civilian? You did this 4 years ago.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for them?
My advice is when you get ready to retire, it come fast and it come hard. Have
Hmm.
a plan. Don't rely on the military, regardless of what service you're in. Utilize the resources that they give you for transitioning, but also set some things up for yourself.
Hmm.
Have a plan of transition for yourself and go ahead and book a therapist because you're going to need it. You're
Wow.
going to need to seek either, a therapist, life coach, or somebody to help you navigate the difficulties of that transition in the real world because it hits you. It's going to hit you hard, and it's not going to miss you,
Mhm.
Everybody's gonna go through
You
it.
can't do this.
No, you can't
It's
duck and dodge
coming
those bullets.
direct.
No,
Mm.
they're gonna come at you, and you have to be somewhat prepared to navigate through that and still remain sane,
Yes.
or have an outlet, a healthy outlet, and someone to talk to or something to get into to occupy that dead space until you figure it out.
That's deep. And I oftentimes hear about PTSD. Don't know. I don't know anyone personally that has gone through it from who retired from the army, but I know that it's a real thing. And if you've done, for example, you did 20 years, if you've done 20 years and you are back out here in society to be a regular civilian, as she said, I can imagine how
Yeah.
hard that will hit. So take her advice, guys,
Mm.
and have a plan in place.
Yeah.
So I know you're Christian, and I
Mm.
know your faith plays a big role in your story, and healing is never linear. So when
Okay.
you say you were on a race to mental freedom,
Mm.
what did that look like on your hardest day?
Oof. I don't think you really want to know on this podcast. Ugh.
Yes.
Wow. So on my hardest day, that was me begging my husband to call somebody and come pick me up and put me
Mm,
in the hospital,
mm,
and him telling me no, I'm just having a hard day.
hmm,
So he created this room for me. It's called my Zen Room.
hmm.
I have like beautiful pillows, curtains, candles, little blankets. It's just my Zen space to when
Wow.
I'm having a hard day. I go in that room, I shut the door, I turn on my little music. One song that I listen to, Janae Aiko, Trigger Protection Mantra
Mm,
on repeat. And I just lay there and either I meditate or I talk to God
mm.
or I just sit in there and cry
Wow.
and cleanse my soul. And that's what I would have to do on my hard days. And some days my husband will tell me, let's go for a walk. We'll go on a walk for miles upon miles and just walk and talk or walk and not talk. Um, yeah,
So
that
you mentioned your husband, and it sounds like he plays a very critical role in your life and your healing journey. How long have you been married?
we just got married in 2022.
Okay, so
So
after
not
the
long.
yeah, okay. Was he also in the army?
He was a Marine. He is a Marine. That they always say they Marine. So he retired from the Marine Corps.
So with everything that you've gone through, and you just gave me an idea of that room, because, and I'm sure the listeners listening are like, "Ooh, I never thought about that." But
Yeah.
that room, your secret place or your Zen room, as you call it,
Yeah.
during your times in that room, when you're praying, is there ever a time where you feel like you got a breakthrough or
Yes.
even maybe a breakdown?
Both.
Yeah. So was that when you know that it was now your healing season? Like, is it in that room that you figured that out? I know you mentioned Sarah Jake, but I'm sure after you went back home, was there ever a moment when you sit down and you reflect on what took place at that conference that you realize that, you know what, this has to be my healing season?
Yeah. So I'm gonna take a step back.
Okay.
I At that conference, that was my first time attending that conference in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I went in there not expecting anything. I was just like, I'm just gonna go because it's right here in Arlington. I live in Dallas, so I
Mm-hmm.
went. Um, Unpopular to some people. Like I said, I do believe in God,
Yeah.
but I went to a friend of mine and I talked to her and she recommended sound bowl therapy.
Sound bowl.
So,
Okay.
when they play the bowls with the loud sounds
Okay.
and everything,
Yes.
and each bowl represents a different chakra. A lot of Christian people don't believe in that. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it at the time. I just like the way the bowls sound.
Yeah.
So this lady comes to my house. She sets up, and my friend was like, "It's great. It's a cleanse. You're gonna feel so much better after this, and yada yada yada." And she does it often, so I was like, "Cool, send her over." So
Yeah.
she comes over, she sets up, she does this whole thing in my living room, and I'm laying there. And when I tell you, I felt like I was in another world.
Mm.
All kind of feelings started coming to me, things that I had been praying about and asking
Mm.
God to reveal to me in my Zen room came to me in that session. And it was an hour long. And I could see myself and feel myself like a tug and war.
Wow.
And I had certain questions for people in my life, and I could see them like coming in and out, like in and out, in and out. But I'm laying down, and she's just playing the sound, playing the sound. And I saw myself as a little girl. I saw myself as a soldier. I saw myself as an adult. Like it was crazy. So whenever I got up when she was done, I said, "Girl, that's witchcraft." I said, "I
Yeah.
don't know what you came in my house and did, but that's witchcraft because I saw this, I felt this. I heard people like talking to me, but about things that I didn't talk to anybody else about.
Hmm.
And the questions that I had for certain people that I never asked, they were in I guess, my vision or whatever in that moment answering me.
Wow.
And she was like, "You reached whatever." I ain't gonna say everything that she said. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, okay." That is when I said, "Oh, you need to talk to your therapist and you need to tell her what happened.
Yes.
And you need to change the course of the type of therapy that you are receiving
Wow.
because just going and talking is not working."
Yes.
So that's what I did. We switched my therapy session to EMDR, which I don't remember what EMDR
Yeah.
means. I never remember, but it is a deeper form of therapy.
Okay.
And that released something in me
Mhm.
to open. And that is when I found the root cause of my trauma.
Yes.
And that is when I began my true healing journey. Because before I knew I needed to heal from, trauma and things that I've been through, as a young adult and,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the military. Everybody experiences something.
Yeah.
But I found the root cause of where my trauma really, really began through that sound bowl therapy and processing it with my therapist.
After the session, I had to go and check out the sound bowl therapy. I really wanted to know what it is and what it is good for. And basically, what I learned is it's using a metallic copper pans to make sound wave. And what this does is it induces deep relaxation, reduces stress, ease anxiety, improves sleep, and promote emotional balance by clearing energy blockage and harmonizing the body's frequency, acting as a holistic tool for mental, emotional, and physical well-being. So when I did it, just like Ingrid, I left that room feeling like I had the most clarity in the world. Like, what just happened to me? I cried, I smiled, I laughed. Everything was clear. I had answers to questions that I had way back in the past. And so the next time you hear about sound bowl therapy, do not think about witchcraft. It has nothing to do with that. It's literally creating soothing tones and vibration that aligns the body's energy center, the chakras. And it's basically used to calm the nervous system and encourage healing. So if you have any sort of pain anywhere in your body, or you need to heal any area of your body, this is definitely something that you can consider. Yes. I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to say, so you don't have to, but curious. Normally, they say that our root cause is from childhood. Was your
Yeah.
root cause from childhood as well?
Yes. Yep.
It all starts there. A lot of the things that we've been through that our parents may not think is trauma, or it affects us in our grown
Yep.
up life. And we don't realize it because we're just living, but it manifests itself. So I'm happy you were able to find the root cause and is now able to actually work on that. So we're
Thank
going to
you.
shift gear a little bit to boundaries and confidence and self-love.
Ooh,
You talk a lot about confidence and reclaiming your power, and I would love that. I love that because so many women struggle with that after trauma. So, how
right.
did you learn to set boundaries, especially coming from an environment where structure and obedience were everything?
I'm still working on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm better at it now than I was
Yeah.
because I'm a yes girl. I have a very big heart. You know, I could be mad at you and still do what you asked me to do.
Yes.
And oh my God, setting that boundary with certain people was really hard. Really, really hard. But I had to put me first.
Yeah.
And when I would talk to certain people about what I needed from them or what I needed while I'm on my healing journey and
Mm-hmm.
what I needed to stay mentally sane and fit,
Yes.
it didn't seem to really matter to them. It was still, that's great. Well, what about this? So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, boundary.
Yeah.
So I had to take it back to my military days, right? You know, as a senior leader, you cannot fraternize with junior soldiers.
Mm,
That's you had to put that boundary in place. And it was easy for me to do it, you
yeah.
know? So I just started treating them like little soldiers.
Wow.
Boundary. You don't cross that boundary. Don't cross that line. Don't come into my personal space
Yes.
because my healing and my mental health is more important to me than it is to you, and you don't respect it.
Yeah.
That's all I can see when people kind of like brushed me off with certain things that I needed. They brushed me off. So it was easy for me to put that boundary. It's hard for me to keep the boundary in place
Mm.
because my heart is telling me, well, just give them
Yeah,
what they asking
just
for. You
one.
got it, you
Yeah.
know, or just show up for them. You ain't doing nothing else.
Yeah.
But no, I have to constantly talk to myself. and say, no, if you open that door again, it's going to be hard to shut it. And
Yes.
I have to seek guidance from God to be like, okay, should I put this in place? Is this my own personal feeling coming into play? Is this is this a connection that you want from me? Like, talk to me.
Yeah.
And then I move when he say move.
Yes. How do you think your relationship with yourself changed through that process?
I was like, girl, you a lame. You a simp. Like you so hard. I'm like, you so hard and you could be so rah-rah, but you really a big teddy bear. Like, girl, get your life. That's what I had to tell myself, like, get your life. Like, why can't you put you first? I
Yeah.
do everything for everybody else. I would drop what I'm doing and support everybody else and constantly push me to the background.
Mhm.
So I started to just be like, show up for you.
Yeah.
And as I started showing up for me, I lost friends, I lost
Mm.
family, I
Yes.
lost certain things, and
Always.
it hurt. But I was like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah. You got to put you first. So,
Yep.
what does self-love look like and self-care look like for you right now in this chapter?
Self-love look like for me, I'ma eat what I wanna eat because I'm way
Be
heavier than I wanna
careful
be.
now.
Imma sleep as much as I wanna sleep, and I don't
Yes.
care what nobody gotta say about it. If I don't feel like doing something, I'm not gonna do it. No is a complete sentence.
Yes.
If I really want something, I'm not gonna, sit on it. I'm gonna get it because tomorrow is not promised.
Yes.
Taking care of myself physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally, and taking care of my family. My family is
Mhm.
my husband. My husband comes first.
Okay.
And once I started to take care of me, take care of Ingrid, and put me first,
Yes.
I was able to be more, I'm like, I want to say subordinate, but submissive to my
Yeah.
husband and be able to receive him being submissive to me without I can't say the word,
Demasculating him. Yeah.
period. That, and things just started to work for me. And that equals self love to me.
Yes. Makes sense. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I think so many women listening are somewhere between strength and surrender. They're trying
Oh,
to figure out how to heal without losing themselves.
yeah.
So, what would you say to the woman listening who's struggling to let go of her past or forgive herself?
That surrender word is hard, baby. Just girl, surrender. Surrender.
Mm,
You know what you got to do. You know what you need.
yeah.
Take your cares. When they say cast your cares upon him,
Mm,
cast them,
yeah.
and truly surrender because it is necessary. And when I say it's a matter of life and death, I'm not talking about living and not living.
Yeah.
I'm talking about mentally, because if you're not sane, if you're not thinking clearly, nothing else is going to work right for you.
Hmm.
So it's like, you know what you need to do. You got to be right. It's like when you're on the plane and you lose pressure in the cabin, what do they tell you? Put that mask on you first,
Yep.
then everybody else. It don't matter if your baby is sitting next to you.
Yes.
If you start freaking out and losing it, you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to help anybody else. So surrender to him or
Hmm.
whoever your higher power is.
Yes.
Surrender. Be a good person. Love on you. Find out who you are.
Hmm.
Find out what you want in life and show up as that person for you every day.
Yeah.
And everything else will fall into place. And then those boundaries that you set, they go for you too.
Yeah.
Not just the people around you or the things around you. Certain places I can't go to no more.
Yes.
Certain things I can't participate in anymore because they're triggering for me.
Yes.
And I have to separate myself from that so I don't fall into the traps of where I came from.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah,
And that's deep and that's important. Yeah, that's very important. So, what's one myth about healing you wish people would stop believing?
that is impossible.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
impossible. Because I tell you what, you, everybody goes through something.
Yeah.
Everybody could say they have some kind of trauma, but that trauma doesn't define you.
Nope.
Not at all. And I thought that it defined me. It does not define you. Just like when you give your life to Christ, he wipes everything away,
Yeah.
right? So that trauma, yes, it's there. It's a reminder of It's kind of like a safety net,
Yeah.
it gives you some more awareness depending on what your trauma was, but it doesn't define you, and don't let that hold you and keep you trapped somewhere. Like, you can live free, healthy, whole, you can thrive if you recognize it, be accountable for your role in it,
Yeah.
forgive, and move forward. Now, I'm not saying you're going to let it go and forget about it. You're not going to be able to forget about it, but don't let it hold you hostage.
Yes. The things that happened to you, you had no control over, but it's your responsibility to move
Yeah.
forward. You are in control of your healing. So take that into
Yeah.
consideration as you go through it. We oftentimes hold on to things and we replay it over and over, and
Mhm.
it doesn't, we can't move forward that way. And the goal is to continue to move forward. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing that. You mentioned that you're an entrepreneur. Can you
Yes.
speak a little bit about that?
So I started a t-shirt business.
Okay.
And originally I really didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even want to do the t-shirt thing. So I don't even honestly know how I got into it this
Yeah.
deep. Um, but at that conference, I was praying, the Women Evolve conference in 2023. I was praying for something that I had heard at that conference. I heard a lot of women talking about trauma, sexual trauma, mental trauma, financial traumas as a child or as a young adult. And I was like, there's a lot of people that need some healing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it came from our mothers and our grandmothers, right? And maybe their fathers and grandfathers too, but I'm just speaking from a woman's point of view. So I heard girl heal,
Mm,
girl heal. And it kept replaying and replaying and replaying. And I was like, I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. So I
mhm.
put it on a t-shirt.
That's it. Okay.
Girl heal. I put it on a t-shirt. I put it on a hoodie. I signed up for some classes through the Vet Entrepreneur program, started my business, and I didn't even launch until this year in February.
Wow. Okay.
And the first launch was a Girl Heal hoodie. And I didn't even have everything all together. But
Yes.
my coach was like,
You just have to start.
just start.
Yeah.
Everything else will fall into place. And it grew from there. And I'm still growing. There's a lot that I'm still learning. My business is called Windchills,
Okay.
but I believe my brand or is Girl Heal.
Yes.
And that's what I'm focused on right now is my Girl Heal collection.
I love that. And it is in line with what this podcast is about. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
And and my book that is coming out in December, it's called Sis, You Are Her. And
Yes.
her stands for healing, evolving, and reclaiming. So that's
Yes.
perfect. So women, if you want one of those t-shirts, I'm gonna add the links in the bio once she shares it. So you can always go back to that as well.
Yes.
You mentioned that one of your goal is to help other people, other women to heal. How
Yeah.
do you how do you want your story to impact or influence that?
I want my story to influence that by letting people know that it is okay to heal.
Mhm.
And it's not pretty. It's ugly.
Mm,
It's you're gonna be at war. When I say it's a race to I call it the race to freedom.
yeah.
It is a race and it is a lifelong process. And
Mhm.
I want my story to allow people to see that it is possible
Yeah.
and you can overcome anything. You can come through it. But what you need to do is talk about it. You got to let it out. Um, I know a lot of times people try to sweep stuff under the rug or
Mm,
they try to be like, well, I don't want to say that because I don't want anybody to feel any type of way.
yes.
Or where how I grew up is you don't air the dirty laundry out there and that all of this and that. I feel like that's a trick of the enemy. Now that I'm older, that's a trick because I feel like if people experience trauma in their lives, they should be able to talk about it and be able to receive some type of help from it. You
Yeah.
can't heal where you were hurt.
Yes.
And I'm not saying talk about it like bash other people or anything like that, but you have to be able to get that out.
Yeah.
And I want my story to just to be shared with young women
Mm,
and hopefully, somebody that's been where I've been or it looks like they're going where I have been,
Yeah.
or, there's a mother out there or a daughter out there that's struggling within their relationship or whatever, that they hear my story and they're like, oh, we're going down that path, or oh, I can see that. Let's course correct now.
Yeah.
You know, that's my hope. And my hope is that, and I don't want to just call out island folks, but this is how I grew up. Y'all
Yeah.
island people, y'all need to get y'all life together. Like, stop telling your kids to close their mouth and not have emotions and not know how to express themselves and not know how to communicate in the household.
Yes.
Stop protecting predators in your family.
Yes.
Put them on
Preach.
blast
Mm-hmm.
because they are killing your children.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, like I said before, not life and death. I'm talking about spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They're
Yes.
killing your children.
Yes.
Open your eyes and stay alert and pay attention to
Yes.
what's going on in your household and around your household with your family and talk about it.
I agree. And that's definitely a message. Stop. That's all I'll say. Stop.
Yeah.
If you could summarize this message in one sentence, what do you want people to walk away with?
I want people to be able to love boldly. I want them to heal from the past.
Yeah.
I want them to be present, completely present.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to have a wonderful future until God calls us all home.
Yes.
Because life is short and we're here for a good time, not a long term. And we should be able to feel free and love and feel support.
I love that. Is there anything that I have not asked that you want to leave with us today?
Um, I think I'm gonna go back to that, seek therapy.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think you need it, book a session. Just
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3. Talk to somebody because everybody needs an outlet.
Yeah.
And I love your podcast. It's in line with what I thrive to be, I hope to
Yeah.
be. I can't wait till your book comes out because I am going to purchase it because I need it for myself as
Yeah.
well. And I'll just say, get in a community. Community is important. Everybody needs somebody, but get with people that's going to uplift you and support you.
Yeah.
It is absolutely necessary.
It is necessary. Thank you so much for sharing that. This has
Thank
been
you.
awesome. But before we end, I like to end with our fun segment, which is called Rapid Reflection. Are you ready for that?
I think so.
All right, let's do it. So, what's one word your friends would use to describe you?
One word that they would use to describe me: loyal.
Loyal. That's a good word. What's one way you're making room for your future self?
Working on my financial freedom.
Yeah. I have an episode called Understanding Credit, and one of my listeners came back to me a year later and he said after listening to that episode he was able to start to utilize his credit cards efficiently and is now
Good.
over 300,000 in points on Delta. So that's
Oh,
amazing.
I
Yes.
need some of those points.
That's what I should have said. Give me some.
Yeah.
But awesome. And a boundary that you've set since you've been retired that has changed your peace.
I don't participate in conversations. I don't participate in activities that don't serve my purpose.
I love that. Freedom for me feels like
Loving me.
loving me. And the last question, what title would you give to this episode?
Free.
Freedom. Well, Ingrid, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your journey towards mental freedom. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
the listeners are going to be able to take a lot from this. You mentioned some of your boundaries, some of the techniques that you've used for healing, and just getting to the point where you can say no and mean it, not no, but maybe. That's extremely important. And I like the message that you've provided for islanders because
Yeah.
they be looking at us like, why are you going therapy for? What
Yes.
therapy? Nothing is wrong with you. Go to sleep. Go
Yes.
figure it out. But healing is necessary, as you put it, and therapy is definitely a way to heal because you get an opportunity to hear yourself and
Yes.
to understand exactly how you
Mhm.
feel. Because if you're keeping it all in, you don't necessarily know that it's bugging you. And it shows up in so many different ways in your
Yes.
relationship with people, in the way that you show up at work, because you don't know that it's really affecting you. You don't know that the things that you've been through have actually shaped your life until you get an opportunity to sit down and speak
Mhm.
about it. So
Facts.
take Ingrid's advice, guys. Seek therapy, and I will add a journal.
Yes.
Get a
Yes.
pen, get a paper, and start writing some of the things that you've been through that you don't speak about. Because even though you're not telling someone, you are writing it and you're remembering it. And that will also help you to identify the root cause of your trauma. And I'm so
Yes.
happy that Ingrid was able to do that. So,
Yeah.
friends, if this episode blessed you, please subscribe and leave a review. Follow me on Instagram at sis you are her for more conversation, updates, and behind the scenes. Also, check out my mailing list. It's going to be in the bio. That mailing list will help you to know when my book will be released, when other products are released, and also special discount and promotion. And I don't know, I'm feeling extremely grateful tonight. So if you watch this episode and you get to the end and you are grateful for this episode and I've been able to take some tips from it, I want you to comment below and I'll choose a random person for one of my gratitude journal. So I'll be looking out for your comments. Again, all the links, Ingrid's website, her social media, and actually, let me get that from her right now. Do you want to share that?
So you can find me on IG at Windchills4, the number 4. And Windchills is spelled WYNDCHILLZ. I'm also on YouTube at Windchills4, on TikTok at Windchills, and my website is www.windchills.com.
Awesome. And again, all the contact information and resources mentioned today are in the description and comments. And if you enjoy this episode, again, you can also donate. So see the Buy Me a Coffee link in the comment section or in the description section. So thank you guys and keep watching, keep sharing, keep commenting, and always remember healing is your blueprint and you are becoming her. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye bye. Okay, let me stop. Thank you for watching another episode of The Blueprint. Please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share this video. Until next week, take care. Bye.